Most people live their lives without realizing they are trapped inside a prison they built themselves. This prison is not made of steel bars or guarded by soldiers, but of fears, doubts, regrets, and desires. A person who constantly worries about what others think is not free. Someone who cannot sleep because of past mistakes or future uncertainties is also not free. Stoicism tells us that the greatest slavery is not external, it is mental. You might have money, comfort, and even fame, but if your mind is full of chains, you are a prisoner. To break free, the first step is awareness. You must realize that the walls of this prison are illusions, constructed by your attachment to things outside your control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you accept this truth, you begin to see that the key to freedom is not somewhere outside, but already within you. The mental prison exists because you allow it. Break that permission, and the walls will collapse. Fear is one of the strongest forces that builds the bars of our mental prison. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of death, fear of losing control. All of these take away your peace and chain your soul. The Stoics taught us to face fear by questioning its reality. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Most of the things you fear never actually happen, yet they still steal your freedom, because you live them in your mind again and again. To break free, you must confront fear by shining the light of reason on it. Instead of running away, ask, what is the worst that could happen? And if it does, can I endure it? The answer is usually yes. Fear weakens when you stop running from it and start examining it. The mind exaggerates danger, but Stoicism trains us to shrink fear back to its real size. Once fear is understood, it loses its power. This is how you begin to remove the first chains of your prison, by refusing to let fear dictate the quality of your life. If fear creates one side of the prison, desire creates the other. People think that chasing wealth, status, or pleasure will make them free. But in reality, desire enslaves them. Epictetus said that if you want something outside your control, you are already a slave to it. For example, if your happiness depends on money, then money owns your soul. If you crave fame, then strangers control your peace, because their opinion becomes your master. Desire is an endless hunger. It is never satisfied for long. The Stoics advised us to practice moderation and detachment, not because they were against pleasure, but because they knew that uncontrolled desire leads to chains. Freedom comes when you enjoy what you have without being consumed by the thirst for more. Gratitude becomes your weapon against desire. When you learn to say, "This moment is enough," you remove the shackles of craving. A person who is content needs nothing from the outside world, and such a person can never truly be imprisoned. One of the strongest chains of the mental prison is the past. Many people carry guilt, shame, regret, or nostalgia that keeps them stuck in yesterday. They replay old mistakes in their minds, thinking they can somehow change what is already carved into time. But the Stoics remind us that the past is outside our control. It no longer exists except in thought. To remain attached to it is to remain chained to a ghost. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others, unless with a view to some mutual benefit." The same applies to the past. Do not waste your present in thoughts of yesterday, unless they serve your growth. The past should be a teacher, not a prison guard. Learn from it, but do not live in it. The key to freedom here is forgiveness, both of others and yourself. When you forgive, you release the burden you've been carrying. The past no longer has power to keep you locked. You are free to live the only moment that exists now. If the past chains one part of your mind, the future chains another. The fear of what may or may not happen tomorrow becomes a heavy lock on the doors of your freedom. You begin to live in scenarios that have not yet occurred, suffering twice, once in imagination and once in reality, if the event even happens. The Stoics encouraged us to practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This means calmly imagining possible difficulties so that you are mentally prepared for them. Instead of avoiding thoughts of the future, you embrace them rationally, reducing their sting. By expecting challenges, you weaken their power to surprise and hurt you. At the same time, you remind yourself that tomorrow is not yours, only the present belongs to you. Worrying about tomorrow steals today's peace, yet today is the only field where action is possible. To break free, you must surrender the illusion of control over the future and focus on what you can do right now. This mindset turns anxiety into readiness and worry into wisdom. Another subtle prison is built from the opinions of others. Many live not for themselves but for the approval of society, family, or strangers. They wear masks to be liked, feared, or admired, never showing their true selves. This is perhaps one of the deepest forms of slavery, because your freedom depends on something you can never fully control: the minds of others. Epictetus reminded us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, if you wish to be free, you must stop caring about whether others praise or blame you. Their thoughts belong to them, not to you. By detaching your worth from external validation, you reclaim your life. Breaking this chain requires courage, because society punishes individuality. But true freedom lies in authenticity. The courage to live according to your values, not someone else's expectations. When you stop chasing approval, you stop being a prisoner. You step into a life of integrity, where no opinion can shackle your peace. At the heart of Stoicism lies a simple yet powerful tool for breaking mental prisons: the dichotomy of control. This principle divides everything into two categories: what is in your control and what is not. Your thoughts, actions, and choices are within your power. Everything else, such as other people's actions, external events, fortune, or misfortune, is beyond your command. The Stoics taught us to focus only on what lies within our sphere of control, and to accept the rest with calmness. Most prisons are built because we confuse these two categories. We obsess over things we cannot change, handing them power over our happiness. The key to liberation is clarity. Invest your energy where you have influence, and let go of the rest. This practice turns chaos into order, helplessness into strength. By living this way daily, you not only break the chains of anxiety, fear, and desire, but you also build unshakable resilience. Freedom is not found in changing the world. It is found in changing your response to it. Discipline may sound like another form of prison, but in reality, it is the path to liberation. Without discipline, you become a slave to impulses, habits, and emotions. The Stoics believed that the person who cannot rule himself will always be ruled by something else. Freedom does not mean doing whatever you feel like. It means doing what is right and necessary, regardless of how you feel. When you build discipline, you no longer fall into the trap of procrastination, laziness, or destructive habits. You master your time instead of wasting it. Self-discipline is the inner guard that protects you from mental slavery. For example, if you control your appetite, you are free from the prison of gluttony. If you control your tongue, you are free from the prison of gossip. Discipline is not a chain. It is the key to remove chains. The paradox is clear: only the disciplined person is truly free, while the undisciplined one remains trapped by his own weaknesses. One powerful Stoic practice for breaking free is called negative visualization. It may sound pessimistic, but it is a method of deep appreciation and inner freedom. The idea is to imagine the loss of things you value: your health, loved ones, possessions, even life itself. By meditating on their impermanence, you reduce attachment and prepare your mind for inevitable changes. This practice is not about despair, but about gratitude. When you realize everything can be taken away, you stop taking anything for granted. Instead of clinging desperately, you begin to cherish more deeply. This mindset breaks the prison of entitlement and complaint. You are no longer shocked by loss because you have already rehearsed it in your mind. When reality arrives, you meet it with calm acceptance rather than fear. Negative visualization transforms suffering into strength and turns fragile desires into resilient gratitude. It is a method to live freely, never chained by the illusion of permanence. The Stoics often emphasize the importance of living in the present moment. The mental prison is built largely from two illusions: the past and the future. But the present, when fully embraced, has no chains. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." When you focus on now, fear loses its grip, because fear lives in the future. Regret loses its grip, because regret lives in the past. Freedom exists only in the current breath, the current step, the current thought. Modern people often distract themselves with technology, endless plans, or constant comparisons, which keeps them locked in imaginary prisons. To break free, one must train the mind to return to the present again and again. This can be done through meditation, reflection, or simply pausing to notice your surroundings. Living fully in the present does not mean you neglect planning. It means you stop allowing time to rob you of life. True freedom is found in the simplicity of being here now. Another key Stoic concept for liberation is amor fati, the love of fate. Most people fight against reality, wishing it were different. This resistance creates suffering and keeps them chained. The Stoics taught us not only to accept what happens, but to embrace it as if we had chosen it ourselves. Every obstacle becomes fuel for growth. Every loss becomes a lesson. Every hardship becomes an opportunity to practice virtue. This attitude destroys the prison of bitterness and resentment. When you stop saying, "Why me?" and instead say, "Try me," you reclaim your power. Fate is not your enemy. It is your partner in becoming who you were meant to be. Amor fati does not mean passivity. It means active acceptance with courage. You no longer waste energy fighting the inevitable. You redirect it into action, gratitude, and resilience. A person who loves fate cannot be imprisoned by it, because they turn every chain into a stepping stone. Wisdom is the torch that lights up the darkness of the mental prison. Without wisdom, you remain chained to illusions. Thinking wealth will bring peace. Thinking power will bring control. Thinking comfort will bring happiness. The Stoics believed philosophy is medicine for the soul, designed to cure these illusions. Through study, reflection, and rational thinking, you begin to see life as it really is. Wisdom teaches you that external things are indifferent. They may be preferred or avoided, but they do not define your worth. It teaches you that virtue is the only true good. Once this realization sinks in, the prison doors open. You no longer chase shadows or fear phantoms. You begin to live with clarity, purpose, and serenity. Wisdom turns you from a prisoner into a philosopher of your own life, capable of walking freely no matter the external conditions. Epictetus described freedom as building an inner citadel, a fortress within yourself that no external force can breach. This citadel is built from resilience, virtue, discipline, and self-control. When the world outside crumbles, your inner citadel remains firm. It is the ultimate escape from the mental prison, because it is not dependent on circumstances. The Stoics, many of whom lived under emperors, wars, and slavery, showed that even in the harshest external prisons, the mind can remain free. The inner citadel is unshakable once it is built. To construct it, you must train daily, practicing detachment, reflection, and gratitude. Each moment of discipline lays a brick. Each act of courage adds a wall. Each acceptance of fate strengthens the foundation. When the citadel is strong, you live with unbreakable peace. No insult, no loss, no fear, no failure can touch the core of who you are. This is the ultimate Stoic freedom. Breaking free from your mental prison is not a single act, but a lifelong journey. The walls of fear, desire, regret, and external opinion do not disappear overnight, but through the daily practice of Stoic principles, you weaken them piece by piece until they finally collapse. Freedom is not about escaping the world. It is about mastering yourself within it. The Stoics remind us that no emperor, no enemy, no event can imprison a mind that has chosen freedom. Your chains exist only as long as you believe in them. Once you let go of illusions, embrace discipline, Accept fate, and live in the present, you become untouchable. The prison dissolves, and you discover that you were free all along. True liberation is not given by society, wealth, or fortune. It is earned through wisdom, virtue, and self-mastery. And once you attain it, no force on earth can take it away.